Alaska is the largest of the US states, separated from the other 48 by the Canadian province of British Columbia. We joined the MS Zuiderman at Vancouver and sailed northwards between Vancouver Island and the British Columbian mainland. We entered the Inside Passage cruise area just north of Prince Rupert. It wasn't long before we saw our first mini icebergs in a fjord called Tracy Arm. Hot chocolate was served mid-morning, and it was a time for bonding with our fellow passengers. We didn't know that he was one of them. The ship turned round and we headed down out of the field to our next port of call. But first, 2 or 3 laps round the deck, a quick lunch, and then we were on our way to the next port of call, which was Juneau. Juneau is the landlocked capital of Alaska. All supplies have to be brought in by ship. Before returning to the ship, we had a short excursion to the Mildenhall Gardens and the Mildenhall Glacier. We went by bus. An avalanche had uprooted the trees. and a number had been turned upside down, now used as cradles for flower arrangements. The visitor centre gave us plenty of information about the origins of the glacier, and really we got quite close to it. Back to the ship and down for dinner. After coping with this, it was further laps around the deck. And then it was goodbye to Juneau. Overnight we sailed to Skagway. We docked early, and I assembled my relatives for a photo shot. Jeff in the middle from Toronto, and Raywin and Neil from Auckland in New Zealand. I fully expected to see more of these old-timers, and even perhaps James Stewart from that film from years ago, The Far Country. Despite the influence of modern tourism, it still featured remnants of its past in the wild frontier days. Skagway was the starting point for the Yukon Gold Rush. The White Pass and Yukon Railway, opened in 1898, played a major part in carrying prospectors to the Klondike. Overnight we sailed to the World Heritage Site of Glacier Bay. This is Lamplugh Glacier, named after the British geologist George Lamplugh. We then sailed into the John Hopkins Inlet, and here we anchored for a while. Hot pea soup was served, but there weren't many takers. Even here, the glacier was 5 miles off. We sailed on and then were able to hold our position off Magerie Glacier, so called after the French geographer Emmanuel Magerie. This was the most spectacular scenery of our cruise, and time now to return to Vancouver.